It's hard to watch a royal fairy tale crash and burn. But that's exactly what's happening in Montecito. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, once seen as the rebellious, fresh-faced future of the monarchy, are now staring down the barrel of a self-made disaster, not just in the press, not just in public perception, but behind closed doors in a house echoing with chaos, exits, and unpaid bills. Before we dive into this unraveling empire, the mass staff firings, insider horror stories, and a brand teetering on the edge, don't forget to subscribe. This isn't tabloid gossip. This is a royal collapse playing out in real time. Let's begin with what insiders are calling the Montecito purge. Since stepping back from royal duties in 2020, Meghan and Harry have reportedly cut ties with at least 25 staff members. But those close to the situation say that number is conservative, that the real figure, including assistants, housekeepers, and aides whose names never make headlines, is much higher. We're talking senior communications officers, press secretaries, and even the people who take care of their chickens, gone. And this isn't a quiet reshuffling, it's a full-blown house cleaning. Not of clutter, but of people. One insider bluntly called it a scorched earth approach to staffing. But why? Because what's happening behind those mansion walls isn't just messy, it's toxic. A growing group of ex-employees, now unofficially nicknamed the Sussex Survivors Club, are speaking out and their stories are jaw-dropping. One former assistant recalls being woken up at 3 a.m. to fix a banana cake. Meghan deemed vile. Others describe verbal tirades over dust in corners, screamed orders about trivial mistakes, and a work environment filled with emotional whiplash. Meghan, they say, wore two faces. When Harry was present, she could be pleasant, charming even. But once he left the room, everything changed. The masks slipped, the tones snapped, and the staff were left scrambling to survive the fallout. One former employee said, bluntly, she ruled like a CEO without a board. No oversight, no accountability, just power. As shocking as that sounds, it's not entirely surprising to those who have been watching the royal family from the outside. Because while Harry and Meghan continue to insist they left to find peace and privacy, what they built instead looks more like a palace of illusion, one that's starting to crack. And speaking of palaces, let's talk about who's quietly winning this royal PR war. Catherine, the Princess of Wales. While Meghan's reputation spirals downward, Catherine has risen higher than ever. At a recent state visit welcoming French President Emmanuel Macron, she appeared in flawless Dior, wearing pearls once gifted by Queen Elizabeth herself. Her presence was calm, composed, regal. She didn't need a podcast or a Netflix special, or a flurry of PR spin. She simply showed up and the world took notice. And Meghan showed up in a suspiciously similar outfit a few days later, drawing snide remarks from royal watchers who joked, her strategy seemed to be copy and hope for the best. But you can't copy authenticity. You can't mimic grace. And that contrast, Catherine's quiet power versus Meghan's curated glam, is killing the Sussex brand. Because the truth is, you can't PR your way out of a financial crisis. And, make no mistake, the Sussexes are deep in one. They're paying $288,000 a year in property taxes on a mansion valued at $15 million. That's on top of a $9.5 million mortgage and a reported $2 million annual security bill. Their Netflix deal, once touted as a $100 million jackpot, is now rumored to be worth closer to $20 million, and it's set to expire. Spotify already cut them loose. Archewell is floundering, and while Meghan still shows up in designer gowns and diamond earrings, insiders claim she spends hours obsessing over how the media portrays her. After Vanity Fair published a critical expose, sources say Meghan spiraled. Pacing the Montecito estate, she allegedly demanded staff push back, call editors, and drown out the narrative. Harry, ever loyal, scrambled to spin a counterstory, reportedly arranging a flattering Us Weekly cover with former staff praising the couple, but the damage was already done, because here's the thing. When more than 40 employees across 2 continents have walked out, many of them reduced to tears, no glossy photo shoot can fix it. And behind closed doors, the atmosphere isn't just tense, it's reportedly volatile. Staff were expected to be on call 24/7 for anything and everything. One employee said they were awakened at midnight over a typo. Another said emails from Meghan began arriving at 5 a.m. sharp, followed by frantic phone calls minutes later if a reply hadn't come through. This wasn't about workload, it was about power and fear. Even Meghan's personal operations chief, a close inner circle role, left without public comment. The quiet exodus spoke volumes, and those who stayed behind, many are now reportedly in therapy. The real tragedy isn't just the crumbling empire, it's that so many believed in what Harry and Meghan could have built. a modern version of royalty, something inspiring, different. Instead, what they delivered was something else entirely. Insiders. Describe a workplace so toxic that seasoned professionals, people who'd worked for prime ministers and heads of major charities, couldn't last 6 months. One said, "I went in thinking I'd help change the world. I left just trying to protect my sanity." Tears in the hallways, paranoia in the air. Staff walking on eggshells, terrified of Meghan's next emotional pivot. According to Harry's own memoir, it wasn't unusual to walk into their office and find someone sobbing at their desk. But what's perhaps most damning is the pattern. Over and over again when things went wrong, and they did, often Meghan reportedly deflected, blamed others, demanded loyalty but gave none in return. Even high-ranking directors weren't immune. And yet Harry rarely stepped in. Staff said he was charming. Yes, the kind of guy who would offer quiet apologies behind the scenes, but he never confronted the source of the chaos. And over time, that silence, it became complicity. People stopped trusting him, not because he was malicious, but because he enabled what everyone else had to endure. He played the peacemaker, smoothing things over with empty reassurances while nothing changed, and the damage kept growing. Meanwhile, the world outside their mansion wasn't any kinder. Their big, bold media moves have fizzled. Meghan's podcast failed to maintain momentum. Their Netflix content, while visually polished, lacked substance. Even their digital presence, once tightly curated and buzzworthy, has gone dark. The communications team that once handled their image gone, no replacements announced. Their once sleek media machine is now silent. And in Hollywood, silence isn't golden, it's fatal. Because here's the truth. Celebrity doesn't survive on sympathy, it survives on relevance. And they've lost the narrative. The industry that once embraced them, Vanity Fair, The Hollywood Reporter, even Netflix is now backing away, and fast. There's even talk that the Montecito estate is quietly up for sale. A sprawling, customized mansion filled with luxury amenities and now, allegedly, financial stress. But who wants to buy a house soaked in bad press? Insiders say the couple are still living like the income is endless, but the numbers tell a very different story. The legal fees alone are piling up. Between Meghan's battle over bullying allegations and Harry's crusade against the British tabloids, it's estimated that their legal costs have already crossed into the millions. And what are they getting in return? Headlines that cast them as bitter, litigious, and out of touch. The harshest blow might be Meghan's fall from cultural grace. She once imagined herself as a global icon, a humanitarian force. Instead, former staff now describe her as a boss, obsessed with optics and control. One even claimed she micromanaged how the chicken coop was cleaned. And that's not a metaphor. That's an actual anecdote from someone who used to work inside their household. Another recalled being publicly berated over a smudge on a glass coffee table in front of other staff. Over time, these stories form a pattern, not just of intense pressure, but of a deep disconnect between the brand and the reality. Because while Meghan was appearing on magazine covers, projecting serenity and elegance, behind the scenes was a rotating door of exhausted, disillusioned people, many of whom left without a single thank-you. And that's where the brand truly breaks. You can't claim to be building an empire of kindness while your team quietly flees to save their mental health. If Meghan Markle thought she could control the narrative with a smile and a stylist, reality is proving her wrong. Behind the designer outfits and carefully staged photo ops lies a woman, insiders claim, obsessed with how she's portrayed. One source revealed that after the Vanity Fair article dropped, the one that finally shattered the media's gentle treatment, Meghan was unhinged. She reportedly spent days pacing the estate, demanding staff do something, fire off. Responses pitch counter-interviews. Her obsession with image wasn't subtle, it was manic. But the problem wasn't just the headlines. It was that people were starting to believe them because the stories kept coming. Stories of staff frozen out for asking questions, of being dismissed after a single mistake, of tensions so thick inside the Montecito compound that people began documenting their experiences just in case. One staffer said, "We were expected to deliver perfection and read minds." And through it all, Harry stood by, not as a leader but as a bystander. He tried to be the buffer, the fixer, the nice one, but people didn't want pity. They wanted protection, and when it never came, they left. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, Catherine Meghan's reluctant mirror continued to rise at the French state visit. She didn't just wear Dior, she embodied royalty. Her posture, her smile, even the pearls from Queen Elizabeth. It all screamed quiet power, and in the most elegant twist of irony, even President Macron leaned in and kissed her hand, a gesture of respect that echoed around the world. No PR stunt. No media push, got just presence. Compare that to Meghan, who days later was photographed in a strikingly similar outfit, almost as if she were chasing Catherine's grace. Royal insiders laughed. One even quipped, "She's not trying to lead, she's trying to catch up." But here's the cruel truth. You can't imitate authenticity. You can't Photoshop humility. And no publicist can spin a legacy and Meghan. She's learning that the hard way, once positioned as a revolutionary force, a feminist icon who would rewrite what royalty meant. She now faces a different narrative, that of a woman who demanded everything and inspired no one. What hurts even more, the public isn't just tuning out. They're turning against. Former fans have taken to Reddit threads and royal forums, calling her behavior performative, entitled, even manipulative, and hairy. Once the cheeky rebel prince, adored by millions, now appears, lost adrift, orbiting Meghan's collapsing brand. It's no longer about who said what in an interview. It's about what the silence says now. No Netflix shows, no podcast, no meaningful philanthropic wins. Just tabloid chaos, vanishing staff, and a $15 million mansion quietly listed for sale behind the scenes. And in Hollywood, people are asking the question that once seemed unthinkable: did Harry and Meghan burn every bridge for nothing? Because the thing about power, real power, is that it doesn't come from magazine covers. It comes from how people feel around you. And according to nearly everyone who once worked for them, that feeling was fear, asterisk at the center of this. Royal implosion is a question no PR team can spin away. When the image fades, what's left? For Harry and Meghan, the answer may be nothing more than a fragile brand, one built on borrowed glamour, fading headlines, and a shrinking team of believers. Insiders whisper what the tabloids haven't confirmed but can't ignore: divorce. Rumors, they're not just gossip, they're speculation rooted in something real. A marriage that's become, by all appearances, more of a media enterprise than an emotional partnership. Sources close to the couple say the dynamic has changed. That Harry, once enamored by the mission, now feels isolated and out of control. That behind the walls of their sprawling Montecito estate, the two live in separate emotional worlds. One obsessed with optics, the other weighed down by regret, and, while no legal papers have surfaced yet, the cracks are visible. Friends no longer appear together in public. Body language experts note the increasing distance between them, and the silence from their camp, once buzzing with curated posts and press releases, now feels like a white flag. When the brand crumbles, can the marriage survive? It's a haunting question, because when your relationship is built in the spotlight, fed by media deals and public perception, it becomes something transactional. And when the transaction no longer works, when the empire starts leaking, what remains? A $9.5 million mortgage? A legal war chest? A chicken coop? And 16 empty bathrooms. The former staff who fled say they never hated the mission, they hated the execution. They say Harry and Meghan could have been something new, bold, compassionate, transformative instead. They became a case study in how not to lead. Because at the end of the day, royalty isn't about palaces, or pearls, or press coverage. It's about how you treat people when no one's watching. And by that measure, Harry and Meghan didn't just step back from royal duties, they stepped off the moral cliff. Compare that with Catherine: no bombshell interviews, no tell-all books, no Netflix drama, just loyalty, dignity, stability. She didn't have to announce herself. She earned the crown without ever needing to wear it. And that's what people remember. While Meghan recycles outfits and PR lines, hoping to recapture relevance, Catherine captures something far more powerful: respect. So what comes next? If you believe the whispers, a rebranding, a comeback attempt, a reinvention of the reinvention. But those who once cheered for Harry and Meghan aren't waiting around. They've moved on. Because it turns out the public doesn't want perfection. They want authenticity. And once they feel deceived, they don't return. Which brings us back to that Montecito mansion. Lavish, vast, empty. A metaphor, perhaps, for everything the Sussex brand has become. Expensive, echoing, and slowly being left behind. Asterisk, if this shocked you, intrigued you, or made you think twice about the royal drama unfolding behind the scenes, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. There's still so much more to uncover, and you won't want to miss what's next.